Hello, who am I speaking with today?
Sean Conrad.
Sean Conrad. Mr. Conrad, what's the most amount of money you've ever made in a single year?
Great question. A good one to start with, right? I would say 4.5 million.
4.5 million. That's a lot of money. I know you said in your talk that building cash reserves gives you ample opportunity. What do you do to manage cash flow?
So when business is booming, I think it's a great time to put cash away. And you heard me talk in the room about being opportunistic for acquisitions. I think that's a really important skill for entrepreneurs to have. I think it's also a really smart thing to do right now because there is this big wealth transfer that's going to happen. $84 trillion of value is going to transfer from this generation, the baby boomers, to the next generation. Some of that will include businesses. If an entrepreneur wants to lean into that, I think we have a great framework at Cardinal Ventures on helping those entrepreneurs prepare for that, but you need capital. It's 100%. One thing to know what to do. It's another thing to be able to step in and actually execute on that. We've lived through a black swan event with COVID where people had to pivot, and those that succeeded and came out stronger were the ones that had capital.
And that leads me to my next question. What's the harshest or hardest business lesson you've had to learn, and how did you pivot out of that?
I think the hardest business lesson, there's many. I think one big takeaway I'd give to everybody is develop the skill of really understanding people, understanding what your superpower is. And what I mean by that is each and every one of us has a superpower or maybe multiple superpowers. I think one of yours, for example, is we just walked out of a room and you said, can I spend a couple minutes with you? A lot of people wouldn't have the ability to do that and go out and ask the question. So
I appreciate it. You
have that ability. You're also a very curious person. You're asking good questions. So those are two of your superpowers, the ability to ask the question, get the attention, and then follow that up with how can I learn something from this person? In the context of running a business and people, though, it's understanding what makes you great as an entrepreneur and what makes other people on the team great, or what roles you need filled. And what I mean by that is you need someone who's at the front. If you put me behind a desk in finance or in HR doing something very technical and not having that ability to plug into energy with other people, that's not the highest best use of my skill set or my superpower. And then developing over time a gut instinct backed by data around how you make decisions around people and what they can do well and what they can't. And that's something you develop. It's a bit of an art over a period of years working with folks, but you will instinctively know this is a good fit for these people on this team to work on this project. And the faster you can develop that skill and that intuition and then trust yourself, it's great. And sometimes when it doesn't work out, it can be a great indicator that either you haven't developed that skill set or that instinct yet, or maybe you knew it and voted to go a different direction against your better instincts, and you've proven to yourself, I do have that superpower. I knew that was going to happen and go the wrong way. I could have predicted that. And it reinforces that conviction that you have built that muscle, you've built that skill.
Mr. Conrad, I'm hearing you talk a lot about people. I'm watching the way you kind of move around the room and everything. I know you've worked with a lot of private equity firms, really, really big names. What is the biggest piece of advice you can give to college students or just that age range in terms of becoming masters of people?
I would say there's layers to that. So first, I think really be comfortable in your own skin. I think I, in my life, spent a lot of time searching for that in my 20s. And I think if people can fast track that and be really comfortable being who they are and presenting themselves to the world that way. The other thing that's part of that is coming out of school, being young, it doesn't mean you don't have something of value to offer to the world right away. I think a lot of students may feel like, well, I need to spend time learning it. There's an insecurity that's there because they just haven't experienced the world yet. Yet, I'm always amazed at how many incredibly bright young people there are. I think brighter than my generation in some ways, where like I would want to pull you into what I'm doing because of the time we've spent together. So being willing to jump into something you don't know immediately, but just know I'm going to roll up my sleeves, I'm going to learn. And I think the other part is just be as curious as possible. The world is changing so fast in so many amazing ways, and where you spend your attention, that energy you have will determine everything. So in our society, we have a world right now where there's infinite choice of where that energy can go, a number of channels, if you will. People could spend that consuming social media content that is strictly for entertainment, and that could be their entire reality. They could get sucked into negative viewpoints on the world, on business, on people, and that can frame a worldview. Or conversely, those same platforms, today, there are so many successful, hyper-successful people that are sharing their playbook. They're sharing what they're doing. And if you just tune into the right channel, you can consume so much great information. Things that in prior generations would have been impossible to access.
Mr. Conrad, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.